being 6 o'clock. We have a public hearing for the spending of the ESSER funds. That's public. If anybody has any comments?
We'll just pause and take any comments or questions. Kind of a follow-up from last week.
Well, don't we need a second?
Sure.
I don't know. I'll second it.
Okay, Andrew, thank you.
I can tell you details.
I have not seen
You guys are part of the public too, if you have any comments on ESSER.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to know what happened in my absence, please.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll fill you in maybe on my report, because that'll get Matt Weber going.
Okay.
He's got another meeting, a couple other meetings tonight.
So are you going to fill me in on both meetings I missed last week?
Sure.
Okay. That'll work, thank you.
Call the regular board meeting to order, the time being 6:01. Go to roll call.
Eldon Larson, Rhonda Robertson,
Present.
Andrew Bushman,
Here.
Dayton Flake, Karsten Flake.
I'm here. To the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a volunteer.
I can do it. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a volunteer for the invocation.
I'll hit.
Thank you.
We thank you for this opportunity we have to meet you to discuss the things of our school district. We thank you for this great community and this great area in which we live. Thank you for the freedoms we cherish, and for those who have fought to preserve. We ask you to please bless us that we can be open and understanding one with another. That we can consider that things will be the best to help the school district to go in a way that will be safe and good for the community. We thank you for all of you serve.
Amen. Thank you.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second it. Aye.
Call for the vote. Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Andrew?
I move that we approve the minutes as presented for October 12th. Andrew, you need to second
I'll
it.
second it.
Call for the vote. Myself, yes. Andrew? Rhonda?
Yes.
The November 3rd meeting. Do you want me
I
to
move that we approve the minutes of the November 3rd study session.
call second it? Call for the vote. Andrew?
Yep.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Then we move to the report from NABIT. Thank you, Matt, for being here.
Appreciate you fitting me in here at the beginning, and so that I can share the same report with.
Sorry, let me try that one more time.
Jason's here to help.
Okay.
Here's the source. Well,
Okay, I guess I'm just looking at it.
Oh, that's what this is.
There we
Everyone knows Matt.
There we go.
You know Matt from NAVIC.
I appreciate you fitting me in tonight. I promise I'll brief. I bring good news. Your numbers are up, and so we'll talk about the finances here in a little bit. But just very briefly, I want to tell everyone thank you again. I like to do that every year. Just we can't have a good partnership without working with good administration, good leaders. Appreciate Dan as the CTE director. He's got a lot of hats, as we well know, in the 1A schools. That's pretty common. And he gives CTE due diligence, and appreciate his involvement. Superintendent Fields, and Eric's great to work with as principal. And Julie is, I would say she's probably our longest standing career tech.
Julie Randall now, by the way.
Oh, yes, I keep forgetting that. I keep
On that
forgetting
too,
that,
the first.
that she's married. So just very briefly, Andrew, this may be just very briefly, we were the second C10 in the state to be formed. We're the first rural. But we have 11 public school districts that we serve. And two primary reasons we exist. One is to bring a funding stream to your school to help with your programs, your career tech ed programs here at Joseph City High School. And the second is for those students that have the time is to be able to come to the NPC campus and what we call the central programs. And examples of that would be like going to Little Colorado campus in Winslow for cosmetology or for welding at Desert campus in Holbrook. Just very briefly, we do pay $12,000 to go towards Julie's salary. We facilitate with your state certification for your students. We also pay for all of your CTE teachers to be part of the Arizona curriculum consortium, CTE curriculum consortium. So we pay a little over $1,000 for your teachers to be part of that. And what that does is it allows them to have access to turnkey lessons that are already correlated with not only the CTE standards, but the academic standards. So it's pretty amazing. So just very briefly, the money that comes back to the district, that's generated for the students that are in your CTE programs here at Joseph City High School. So let's take a look at those. So very briefly, okay.
Scroll up deeper, somebody.
Down here, but I can tell you this number right here. So last year was 43,817. The year before that, about the same, just a little bit under 43.2. Your new number is 57,212. And so that's huge. That's a huge increase for a school your size. And so what that means then is that brings you up to 1.4 million that has come into the district since you joined NAVIT in 2002. And so you see the numbers there, particularly for Andrew, where he is a newer member of the board. You might notice these were the days of tall cotton because we received funding for freshmen. And then the legislature of 11 cut that, and so that's when you drop from 73 down to 44. And so if you looked at the 57, you haven't been, I mean, it's been since FY11 since you've been close to that number. So that's amazing to be able to say that your best in 10 years. So I'm excited about that. That's a huge increase. And so where does that money comes back?
Interrupt. Why did that go up?
I would think that mostly well, if we look
Is
at
it
this right
enrollment?
here, so you've got construction and carpentry, and Jim's offering 2 programs. Dustin's offering 2. But having Mr. Hancock, having Roland come over, and he's offering also 2 programs, BMAS and BOSA. So you've got business management and business operations. So that makes a huge difference. And so when you're doubling up, I mean, all 3 of your teachers are doubled up. And so, but I would say a big part of that is the increase in business offerings. So you have more students in the programs than you've had.
Does FACS have programs if we moved in that direction?
Does who have it?
FACS.
Family Consumer Science.
Culinary arts.
Science? Who do you have here that's teaching that?
We offer one section.
Her name's Teresa McKenzie. She just started this year.
Okay.
We're looking
Are you working on a certification?
Yeah, we're looking to potentially, get into that in the future.
So there's like hospitality or culinary. I don't know if they do just facts, but that's what it used to be. Culinary, like one track.
So yeah, the second that you're able to get a teacher certified and have all of the curriculum to meet the state standards, you bet.
That'd be great.
Yep, we've got our eye on that. And if I could just say one thing, interject here since we've already interrupted you. It's not just about the money, as everyone knows in the room, but the benefit to our students. So it's an incentive for the funds, but a lot of our students have benefited from NAVIT. I hear from parents all the time, and you guys all know that. But it serves students that otherwise maybe wouldn't be served by our small school.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. It feeds a lot of money in that just the school wouldn't be able to do with for example, the CNC machine and other things that the school has that there's no way we could have got without that help, and the certification that the kids can get also,
Absolutely.
because being in partnership with NAVA.
You bet. I can't talk enough about career and tech ed and the difference it's made in the lives of my own children. My youngest now is a junior. He's in the automotive program. If you ask him how's school, that's all he'll talk about. He's got automotive class. He doesn't talk about anything else. Now, I keep telling him, I said, remember, Carter, if you're going to be in business, you better know your math skills. You won't be able to make a bid on a project. You still need to be literate in English so that you can communicate and help people understand why you're charging what you're charging and working with customers. So that light bulb on the academic side slowly starting to come on for him. But like I say, a lot of students are out there like my son that he'd rather do something with his hands. And then once you find your passion, then English and math and all of the basics come into play. These are the programs that we offer through NPC, through community college. And so all of your students at Joseph City have access to these. But the key here is that they've got to have room in their schedule. So 90% of the career and technical education that happens with Joseph City High School students is at Joseph City High School, and rightfully so, because not everyone can take off 3 hours a day their junior and senior year. But for those who can, these are the ones that are available to you. Nursing assistant, medical assistant, Cosmo, those are at the Colorado campus in Winslow. And then welding, construction, and EIT are here in Holbrook, or over in Holbrook. And for a long time we were at Cholla on EIT, but lots of things happening there, changes, and so they're at PDC. But those are the offerings that are available to your students. I want to talk just very briefly, because I know that you've got an agenda ahead of you, is that our major focus this year is all about Arizona Department of Education monitoring. Every 5 years they come on site to every high school, and in our case, the college campus, and they have to review and evaluate all programs. So what are we doing then to help with that? We've been continuing to provide NCCR training so that, Jim is certified so that he can in turn certify his students. We're paying for any teacher training that prepares teachers to certify their students. Our program director has been offering instructional best practices. And that's something that allows your teachers to access those turnkey lessons I was talking about in the Arizona Curriculum Consortium. And we also offer CTED soft capital money. So on your textbooks, your NCCR textbooks, those are $60 a pop. We pay for all those out of soft capital. So that's how we're helping you there. But this last slide here is huge, is with those legislative changes that requires the monitoring from ADE, we've been offering training since April to share examples of what we all need to turn in for documentation to ADE. And so the program director's been offering training to your teachers. They've been coming over to Snowflake, being shown different examples. Dan's been very faithful at attending the director meetings, and so there's a lot of sharing going on, saying, hey, this is what I've submitted for that indicator. And so we've really spent a lot of time in helping your teachers and your director in preparing for the monitoring. And most importantly, if this is up and above what your teachers already do, we've been offering $25 an hour up to 80 hours to prepare for this monitoring. They have to fill out payroll.
Do we have anybody doing it?
Pardon?
Do we have some teachers doing it?
Yes.
Good.
All of our CTE teachers have to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Yeah, and so we told them, you're gonna have to do the work no matter what. You might as well get paid for it. And so we're paying that out of our 301.
Matt, is that coming up in December, January that it's due?
Yeah, it's
right.
I've told everybody, you need to have it turned in before the holidays. I think technically they've got until January 11th. But the
don't tell them.
The quicker you turn it in, the more feedback you get, and then you can modify and then resubmit.
Does that go through your payroll or ours, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Does that go through now?
Yeah, it's going through our payroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
We gave our teachers a December 1st deadline is what we've told them.
Sweet. That is perfect because, well, it's like I told them, who wants to work over the holidays with this? It's like, just get her done. Get her done. So that's what we've been doing to help. Once again, it's all about monitoring and being ready, because that does affect CTED funding eligibility, and that's the same on us. We're having to provide the same documentation from the college for it. But, like I say, so all in all, if we were to summarize the report, excited about your increase in students, the more offerings that are available to your students. Current technical education makes such a difference in our students' lives. Just grateful for our partnership, grateful to be able to be here tonight, and always know that if you ever have any questions about our programs, and additional, from us, like I say, we've got a fantastic support from your administration. I feel like your teacher can be well prepared for the monitoring, but we want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. But with that, I'll entertain any questions.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. That is true. I've called you several times, seen you different places, and you've been very on top of things, and I appreciate that.
You're very
It's easy to work with you and other people and get things taken care of. And there's been times I've asked you questions and you don't have the answer, you hadn't even heard of it yet, and you get back with me. This is where it is. Mostly it's because I didn't know how to word what I was asking, and not that you didn't know.
well, occasionally, there are just things that don't cross my desk, and so that's another reason why we meet with the directors every month is sometimes they'll get apprised of things that I don't even know about because ADE. We're an LEA, local education agency, but sometimes ADE forgets that. So there are things that I find out from my directors that I haven't even heard. So appreciate the feedback, and just know we're here to help.
I had seen in the paper where, I think it was the paper, starting like what do you call a child care program? And was it Winslow or Holbrook or somewhere? Was that a NAVIC program?
We're not doing a central program. I know that Holbrook High School still has early childhood. I know that the director of the early childhood program is upgrading their curriculum and changing things. So I remember seeing a news release on that, but at least at this point, I'm not aware
So it would be a central
program
okay.
on that. Part of the problem we have there with and even ed professions is they're saying, well, NAVIC, you can offer a central program, but there's so many academic classes in it, we're not going to pay you for that. And so years ago, we had ed professions, because to me, it's forever going to be a problem in finding good teachers, and so you need to grow your own. And for us not to be able to teach high school kids that, to me, is criminal. But they won't pay for it. CTE division stopped paying for ed professions in 2014, and so they've kind of created a monster for all of us. But like I say, hopefully, I keep telling the legislature, you need to fix ADE so that they can pay us for that. Same thing with nursing. They are so far behind on nurses. We had a pre-nursing program. They won't pay us for that anymore either, because they said there are too many academic classes. I said, well, it's not like kids can come in and pick and choose. They either take the whole program or they don't take it. So we have some ground to still cover with legislature and ADE. But excellent. I appreciate the feedback.
Thank you for coming tonight. We should appreciate it.
Thank you again for accommodating my schedule tonight. It's always a pleasure to be out here. And just as a reminder, I consider Joe City a home game for Mogollon. So just appreciate you. We'll come to Joe City any day that we go for Fredonia.
Because of location or because of the people?
Location. Just love coming out here. Visit, drive out here. It's great people out here. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Always welcome. Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate that. Grab my glasses so that can prove.
Want me to start my report?
Yeah.
Part of this? Yeah. Okay. So I'll say some general things, and then maybe if we want to go into detail, Rhonda, on the.
I got it read finally.
Okay. All right, great. So we're actually still busy. The end of the semester is going to be here before we know it. We have breaks coming up, and Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and then winter break. And both campuses are busy doing different programs and things. So it's exciting, but a busy time nonetheless. Some of the things going on at the campuses that are worthy of mentioning here. Well, everything's worthy of mentioning, but just taking a minute. to see if you have any questions or if the principals have any comments. Tutoring just ended it's taken a break here at the elementary campus. So we've had a good, strong tutoring program. A lot of staff, a lot of students participating in that. Mr. Moser and Ruth Hanson leading that and measuring the students' growth and all that. So then they'll be working on a winter Christmas program here that all the students participate in. And that, even though that's a music program, that's very well attended, very popular program that the elementary does. So I know they're going to do a great job with it. High school accommodated the big Halloween carnival this year. A lot of elementary and junior high students involved, but a lot of service from our staff up there. Eric led the way for that. Successful. They made a lot of money. I wanted to mention that. The sports just ended. Our volleyball team, you want to give just a quick how they did?
Yeah, our volleyball team went to the state tournament last weekend and won their first 2 games, made it to the semifinals, and had a tough one in the semifinals and lost, but they had a great season overall. To my recollection, it's the first time we've made it that far in volleyball in quite a while.
Yeah. Next you might be able to tell you how long it's been.
Yeah, 8, 9, 10 years probably since we made it to the semis. Something, I'm just guessing, but
It's hard to play on Saturday.
yeah,
Not easy.
yeah.
Good.
That's why we lost.
The girls were excited, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's hard to get to Saturday.
Oh, definitely.
Winter sports are starting.
Basketball and wrestling practice started last Monday. So a little over a week now.
And the junior high is hard at it as well. A lot of participation down there. And
we've got 30 plus in junior high volleyball. Our boys wrestling team is doing really well, actually. They just beat Holbrook tonight, and they've gone to some tournaments and they've done really well.
awesome. It's great. So one thing while we're on that, they might start the structural work at our elementary gym next week. And if that is the case, it's going to be out of commission for 2 or maybe 3 weeks. But it might not start. So we're going to be on notice to take the net down and shut it down if they're ready to go. So and then they're going to open that whole thing up and reinforce it. Hopefully won't be any more structural issues with it again. It seems like since it's been built in the 70s, there's been some issues. But it's going to be like a sunroof for a while, I told Mr. Moser. But after that, they'll shut it down and wait for the roofing materials. And as soon as those get in, hopefully in the spring, they can start that. So I don't know if you have any questions. But
Are they going to practice on the old gym then?
Yeah, since we have boys and girls basketball and 30 girls in junior high softball. Right now they have 8th grade over there and 7th and 6th grade in the old gym. They'll just have to go early, late, or combine 30 in that gym somehow. We're already doing early, late at the high school. They'll play their home games up at the high school during that time.
That'll rearrange basketball practice.
Well, we'll come down here.
If you had a chance to look over the report, you'll see that Mr. Miller is being recognized as the Administrator of the Year by the Thespians group. Mr. Forey nominated him, so that's congratulations on that.
Good for you, Mr. Miller. You deserve it.
Who's the Thespians?
Yeah, he's going to receive it here this month. What day is that?
A week from Friday, the 19th. Week from Friday.
What? That's good. We didn't even have a play last year, did we?
They did one in the spring.
Yeah, that's right. I understand. That's good. Our COVID numbers are declining, so that's good. It's still out there. It's still a lot of the reports. It seems that we get from the county dashboard, and that they seem to be just a little bit behind, like maybe the week prior. That's what it looks like, but it appears to be on the decline from what I can tell. One thing that I didn't put in my report because I hadn't finished it yet, but return to school safe outline. I had to complete that and submit it to the state, so I've done that. We have to update that every 6 months as a governing board, so I'll make sure that gets done. But it's all the protocols we do, like changing filters out, using hand sanitizer, organizing the classrooms where there can be social distancing. Now, at our elementary campus especially, and actually both campuses, they've modified it since it's been on the decline. So now they're in some group tables and doing some of those things. But for the most part, we're still following a lot of the protocols with cleaning and things of that nature. I had a report on all that. I did mention in here about our meetings last week. So we had a visioning meeting for the community to come together and talk about, possible transition when Troya closes, but also our budget work session. Thank you guys for the input there. And to sum it up, basically we talked about prioritizing some of the urgent and important items. And for the most part, buses is on the top of that list because that still provides some flexibility into the future, and it's a good investment probably for the district moving forward. Steve's done some work on that today, and actually Deo and Eric also spent some time with reviewing a bus that a salesman brought. And Steve got some numbers. If I mess anything up, Steve, I'll let you interrupt me. But so the last I remember was looking at a couple buses, a travel bus like for trips, and then a route bus. And Steve said we can expect the quote should come in either later this week or next week, about $250,000 for a travel bus, and it was $150 for
just under 145-ish
yeah.
for a route bus.
They're going to look at electric buses for us, and the thing is, it sounds like from what the salesman told Steve, if you get them with lower range, the price, there's quite a price difference. It's hard to justify like the max range, 250 miles per charge. But if you go down to like a route range, 100 miles or so, the price drops significantly, and it might be something we could look at. But we'll let you know. We're not getting a quote on that one yet. But one other thing Steve looked at, I think that the board should know about, is leasing buses. So let's say he's going to get some more information on that. But even if we buy a couple buses, 5-6 years from now, when the plant closes, if we're in a situation where we can't pass an override or a bond and the district's strapped financially, an option through this company would be to lease buses. And it would be could be an advantage financially for the district, basically.
Well, if it would be an advantage, why are we waiting till then to look at it?
Good question.
Can I address that? Yeah, one probably even more than a financial advantage, it would be it gives us some flexibility. So I'm not saying this is what we should do or what our situation will be. It's just something to kind of keep in our back pocket in case we get in that situation. And that is, that is, say we get down to that point and we've got more buses now that are aging out. Okay, but we don't know at that point. Say if we're going to lose more students, do we still need that bus? Are we going to need it after a year or two or not? That might be a situation where we would want the flexibility of leasing a bus for just 2 years and see what our financial situation looks like. See if the enrollment justifies it. If we really still need a bus, rather than investing, in a bus.
Again, why don't we look at doing it?
Well, it's not going to say that it wouldn't save us money right now because, first of all, even with a lease, you're paying interest. It's on that which we're looking at paying, buying it up outright with the ESSER money. So that would be a savings for us, for one thing. For another thing, one thing that you want to always be cautious about with that is once if you go down that road, say, and you phase out all of your owned buses and you're entirely on a lease bus situation, you likely can never go back to owning your own buses unless you're able to pass a bond to purchase those, because you don't have we wouldn't have the funds to buy
5 or 6 buses all in one shot. So you have to, you have to be kind of cautious about that. But for right now, our best option is to buy them.
That could save us
Because
5
of
years
savings.
from now.
Yeah,
It wouldn't cost us anything, so we could be set up if we take a turn in enrollment or whatever.
yeah.
No expense.
Yeah, and I would say, leasing, might be a good option. I don't have a quote on that, and I've asked for one just so we can just see and do that very comparison that you're asking about. And when I get that quote, and I'm not positive, but what I expect to see is maybe a little bit lower annual cost than what if we were buying outright, because and it kind of depends on the term of financing. However, what typically, like I say, when you want to lease a bus like that, it would be if you just simply can't, that extra $5,000 or $10,000 a year makes a difference between whether you can afford a lease or a purchase. And an operating lease or a lease purchase. The other thing is, again, that why you would want to look seriously at leasing is the uncertainty of, are we going to really need that many buses in 2 years? And if you're not sure or you won't, then maybe leasing is a better option. So, and the other thing too is that with a 2-year lease, you would, it kind of never ends unless you don't need that bus.
Well, I'll be honest with you, you haven't said a thing to convince me we need to leave. If anything, you convinced me against it. So just know that, it doesn't sound very appealing at all.
A lease?
Yeah.
It isn't right now for our situation, and I would not recommend it for right now. Point is, we're looking at other options down the road, if we get to that point where we're in a situation where that makes sense.
Like, here's
So I don't know
That
that
doesn't make sense to me.
Do you get a buyout? If you lease after 2 years, can you buy out?
I don't know, I haven't looked at we just talked about it as a concept.
It's like renting, as far as I'm concerned. You're gonna be hard pressed to get me to say, do it, unless you could say, we're gonna pick up this bus because we think our number's gonna drop this year, so we're gonna rent it this year because we're gonna drop numbers next year.
And that's exactly what.
That would be the only time I'd go for it, so we don't have that big purchase. But I honestly don't see that even after 8 years.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, even if I didn't say it as
Here's an example, though.
clearly.
I give you one. Several years ago, we went out the district and got a loan for a bus. Thinking back, maybe a lease might have been a better option then, because we didn't have all the cash to purchase it at that point. I don't know how many years back. It's been a few, right? And we also had a lot of problems with that bus. That was the one that you were calling, lemon, yeah. Am I right?
Mhm.
So there was a loan payment on that. Not sure the numbers, but a lease in that case might have been cheaper. Now we paid it off. We'd have to look at it. Well, I'm not trying to convince you, but anyway.
I just look at how many vehicles I have. I only drive one at a time, but they're there if I need them.
Yeah.
And they're paid for,
Yeah.
and they're mine.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to come and take them.
Yeah.
And when you lease, that's not it's just like renting. You're throwing your money away. After that month, it's gone. You got nothing to show for it.
No, you're right on.
Don't bag renting. I
Pardon?
make a lot of money off rentals. Don't bag it.
I know you have a lot of stupid people living in your rentals.
Hold on now.
Hey, go that far, but yeah, it is.
I'll say it. You don't have to.
It's not, if they're not being long term, it's not a smart investment.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. We don't want to think about it this way. And I'm not saying we're going to lease, neither Steve. It's just an option. We don't want to have a district full of buses without any students. So that's another variable that we got to look and see what our enrollment, as we go.
But we're not looking at replacing the whole fleet all at one time anyway. That's why I don't understand why it's such an issue. I say always be looking at our options. I appreciate that Steve does that because we need to know what's out there, what our options are. But like I said, so far you haven't convinced me.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I brought it up, so not to put Steve on the spot. This is an option moving forward years from now. Hey, but one thing I did want to get a comment from, if you have a problem with that is something we're ready to move on. The board would, we could have it prepared for the board to vote on next month. But we want to, there's a problem with supply, and so we want to kind of reserve it. So if there's...
To buy a bus, is that what you're talking about? Oh.
Yeah, we're almost a year out to get a travel bus.
Well, let me just tell you, somebody in my family ordered a new truck back in June. We're still not sure it's on the assembly line yet.
Yeah, we have the same problem with buses on
So,
the...
with that said,
So you guys are good if I have that? We commit...
I'll back you 100% on that one.
But we are getting like 3 estimates. We're not just going to one, are we?
Well, it is on a purchasing co-op, so we don't need 3 estimates. We could get 3.
Yeah, those purchasing co-ops can be a
markup, yeah.
Ridiculous markup.
We can work it out.
Yeah, they're...
I mean, I don't think it'd be too hard to shoot a thing out to Ash and a couple others saying, this is our specs, what's your price? If they can't respond, tell them, hey, if you can't have us an answer in 5 business days, then we'll cross your name off and go to the next guy.
Yeah. We can do that. We'll work on that.
I just think that the co-ops sometimes are bureaucracy at its best.
You are right. You are right about that. Sometimes, in some cases, absolutely. So, to be safe, maybe we'll try and get at least 3 quotes for the same style of bus. It can get a little bit tricky when you have all these add-ons.
It is. I mean,
but you find your minimal specs. Hey, I want a 70-passenger bus. I want blah, blah, blah. Air conditioning needs to, whatever we want. You want a bird on the front or on the tail, I don't care. But as long as everybody can kind of match it and you see what you get.
Okay, so we'll work on getting that ready.
A bird on it?
That's a bluebird. That's just what I said. If you don't get a bluebird, then that's fine. I don't know. A Thomas that has a train or a bird or whatever buses you can get.
A couple of the other high dollar items that we talked about that were priority, HVAC work or redoing the HVAC system. I do have some engineers interested, and the SFB said they would be interested in helping partially with the project, but not completely. So that's one that I'd say we could safely move forward with right away as soon as these guys can get up here and assess our program and tell us. Some new boilers, I think, would be smart investment too. And there were some other things that won't be quite as expensive, like a new PA system that's digital throughout the district, maybe artificial turf, elementary playground equipment, possibly the outdoor space. These guys are surveying staff and site council stuff to see what return on investment would be.
Let's back up a little bit. We're looking at getting an electric bus. Makes sense to me.
Maybe.
However, everybody's fearful of Cholla closing. Are we still going to have these electric pumps out here that we can use for free?
Well, we pay for the electricity on it, but yeah.
So it's not for free.
Oh, I misunderstood that. Well, that's going to be a concern of mine.
What part of it?
Well, I mean, it's going to be the same whether it's fuel, oil, or electrical. It's going to go high. And that's going to be something that's really going to affect us.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know what the solution is, but...
I don't either.
I asked about propane today when that salesman was here, and it didn't sound like that was going well. It's the power in those engines, he said, was very good.
The problem with anything that's not conventional in this area is you don't have a repair shop. I mean, as much as all that stuff sounds great, that's a big city kind of deal. And, you see the CNG, the compressed natural gas buses that Flagstaff owns hauled to Phoenix, the city, so it's kind of like, yeah, how much does it cost to haul somebody to fix it because you got another lemon?
Yeah. Good point. Well, I don't know if we're getting a quote. I'd like to get a quote on electric bus.
I think you need to get the numbers so you can know how, at least you can make sure you cross it off the list or whatever.
Well, I think we need to, the more we know, the better decisions we can make.
So the other things I did mention on the thing here, football lighting, things of that nature. Some smaller projects, but important still. Like Eric's working on the railing at the bleachers. I did go and look at some sidewalks like you mentioned, and I couldn't find any uneven spots, so
I'm pretty sure he fixed it the next day.
Okay.
I just
Which
haven't been up there.
railing on which
And the
bleachers?
indoor bleachers?
Indoor and outdoor, the football, baseball bleachers, they don't have any railings, not baseball, football. Football and the indoor basketball gym, that area, they don't have any railings walking up the aisles. And so we're looking to, I got one quote for the indoor and it was $40,000. So we're looking for options to put it in ourselves.
You want to stop them little munchkins up and running up down the stairs.
No, we've had
The
some,
big munchkins from falling down.
we've had some senior citizens that have had a hard time and so we need to do something about it.
It'll still fold them munchkins down.
I don't think we purchased now this, I don't think it qualifies for ESSER funds, but it's something that I think, I'm ready to buy. Julie did the legwork on it, and Steve, I think, is getting ready to make the purchase a car for staff. We haven't bought one maybe in, I don't know, close to 20 years. What's the,
I don't know, as long, but before
The upside is the insurance and the license don't cost much on them old vehicles.
yeah. Well, that's why we put it off for staff, right? All these other things. I mean, people have criticized that you haven't bought it. Like, look, we've been trying to, it's not like we haven't thought about it. We've been trying to.
So are you looking at used vehicles? What are you looking at?
But it wasn't that,
No?
They were the same price the
Used
last
vehicles
2
have
years
gone
as
up.
new.
Unless it's way used, pretty dang close.
Well, I know about a Honda CR-V that's 2019 with 36,000 miles. They want 25,000 for it, and it's in good shape. That's why I asked, because it'd be a good car for us.
and one other important thing I want to mention in my report here, Mr. Flake is working on a survey with some staff to put out for calendars for next year, to put out to, he wants to do like parents, everybody, get input on stuff. Do you happen to have those questions? I could tell you what they are. But, so. you know,
Everybody got emailed a rough draft, the board got emailed a rough draft of the, survey up today.
Do you already?
Did they tell you who answers it and what they answered?
No, it gives you the opportunity to tell us, this looks weird, I don't like this.
I do want to say a couple, what I consider to be important things when it comes to our calendar. You could discuss the holidays all you want, but we really have to have staff training embedded in there, or if we put ourselves in a bad situation. Then those enrichment days are really important to our students and also our staff. And it can affect the budget down the line for the district if we don't really think about those consequences. So those are really the two issues I want us to remember moving forward. By December, I'd like to have a recommendation to the board for a calendar, which is next one. Did you guys know the questions? You want me to read them?
I'm looking.
Andrew, did you know them?
I already took the test.
Oh, you took it and turned it in?
It passed.
But we're gonna send it out Monday to emails and whatever, and then there'll be copies.
Glitches and make it look nicer.
And then there'll be copies at the 3 offices for people that want to do a paper one. So
A minute.
if somebody has it, turns it in, if you guys could just collect them at your,
They want to just have them sign into our computer. We have a computer there in the office and they can just take it online there. And then all the results will show up in the same spot and you want to count it.
I would just hate to, because there's some people, I mean, if I came in, I would rather just fill out the paper one and not have to that's all I'm saying. Yes, I think either way would be fine, and it is.
It would be harder to make sure, if we did the computer one, then we'd be assured that one person isn't filling out 5.
Yeah,
But in the same, the
And if
problem
they
with the
don't care
paper one
enough-
is then you have to pay somebody to enter it.
And if they don't care enough to sign on to the computer, that they don't have much of a
They don't have a phone.
opinion.
I know, I'm just saying what I would rather do. It's a lot
It
easier.
means a lot to you. Would you sign on? This is important to you. You gonna sign on?
I've already filled it out.
Okay.
Are you telling them already? Are you gonna?
No, I don't think they're even accepted yet, because
So we
it's
don't
not,
finish it.
it's not done yet. It's just a rough drafting.
All right, any questions?
But am I correct that if it's done on the computer that people can't double up?
People could double up.
They
Oh,
can't.
if you set it up correctly, no.
Not necessarily.
They have
Yeah,
to sign
oh.
in with an email.
With their email.
Yeah, okay.
Unless they had fake emails, I guess they could send it up.
People don't usually go that much trouble, but
Or calendars.
this year they might, yeah.
Actually, I might. Good idea.
You're gonna fill, you go through all the students' emails
Just
and.
tell us what you really want and we'll consider it. I got a question if you're wrapping up there, Mr.
Sure,
Fields.
sure.
So my son said today that the wood shop got shut down. What's the deal with
Yeah, I
that?
was gonna actually, thank you. I don't know if it got shut down.
It did not get shut down.
So we had a.
I guess what he said was, from what he was told by that the fire marshal came in and they said they had to clean the place before they can do any other work.
Yeah,
I was told they had till Friday by my source.
we did, yeah. So we did have a surprise visit, by the fire marshal, but, it took a lot of time from, I know, Brad and his staff and the custodial staff and Eric too, but, they were right on it, and I'm sure we're not gonna have a problem. The guy stuck around. I think they got most of the things done before he left, actually.
There is some cleaning.
So, pardon?
There is some cleaning that needs to happen. He's coming back at the end of this week.
And it's my understanding that this has been a problem in the past, so what are we gonna do to make sure it's not a continual problem? Or am I misinformed?
Well, I don't know how detailed he should get, but he is taking steps to make sure this doesn't happen again,
Okay,
because he reviewed them.
that's all I wanted to hear.
But, yeah, it's important. I mean, nothing's more important than the safety of our kids and making sure that they're safe. So thank you I was actually gonna mention that. Yeah.
Is there any more questions for Mr. Fields or any of the other reports? I'm guessing there's no one on there. Okay. I motion that we go to the consent agenda items 5, all 5A and 5B, and approve the expense vouchers and the student activity funds report.
All second.
Do you have any discussion we need to have? Okay, call for the vote. Myself, yes. Rhonda?
Yes,
Andrew?
Yes.
Okay. I motion that we approve the employee assignment, renewals, volunteers, and resignations for 6A.
I'll second it.
hang on. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to find it.
Call
There's
for
a lot
the,
of writing that I have to figure out where I'm at.
call for the vote. Rhonda?
Yes,
Andrew? Myself, yes. I motion that we approve the personnel appointments for 6B of event workers and coaches, workers.
I'll second it.
Okay, call for the vote. Myself, yes. Andrew? Rhonda?
Yes,
Okay. I motion that we approve the performance pay plan for the speech therapist.
Second.
I'll second it.
Who do I take?
Huh?
She didn't hear him, whatever.
Oh, Andrew? Okay, I'm
It
sorry.
don't matter.
Andrew.
As long as it gets seconded and voted on.
You know, if I'm not looking at you, I can't hear you.
I don't know if you guys have any questions. This is similar to the plan for our other counselor that we, had approved last month. basically it'll provide a little more help at the elementary campus with, special needs.
Does it seem like that's where our needs are more, is at the elementary overall?
Different kind of needs, maybe.
Who are you looking at?
They're educational, they're behavioral at the high school.
Yeah, maybe that's an accurate summary. Our preschool can be, kind of time consuming for us. And that's where, you have to have good communication with parents. And, we're sharing Mr. Hutchins in the sped position between the campuses and everything, so.
Call for the vote. Rhonda?
Yes?
Andrew?
Yes.
Myself, yes. On this, we're not voting on anything, right? We're just discussing it?
Yeah, actually, it's up to you. You can pass the vote, not vote on it. If you'll open it, I'll explain.
Okay. I motion that we open for discussion and possible action on the School Board Association additional bylaws.
Okay, so Andrew might know what this is.
Andrew, are you second?
Oh, I'll second it.
Okay.
Vote yes for it.
Okay, so the ASBA is asking for us, or all the districts, every district gets one vote to add an executive board member to their committee, to their governing board. And that's for, right now, it's called the HNAIC, and that's Native American Caucus and the Hispanic Caucus. They share one seat on that executive board, and it rotates between them each year. But like the African American Caucus, they get on there every year. So they're asking to split this, and they need so many districts to vote yes in order to get that extra vote for their minority caucus. It's been endorsed by every ASBA county representative and their entire board. You should know that, I guess.
How many overall votes are there on that board, just out of curiosity?
I think 9, might have been in my backup. Quite a few.
I thought that this was something that was going to be part of the next, in December meeting.
We have to have our vote
at the
submitted.
state.
We have to have our vote submitted by December 11th or something like that. It's prior to the next board meeting.
Okay.
If we're going to vote.
So, just curiosity, because I know he has. Have you been to a county meeting?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So my problem, I mean, I'll put it on the record, whatever, what the deal is who chooses those people? First of all,
Probably their caucus probably chooses.
so that's dangerous, no matter how you look at it, whether you agree or disagree with them. And then secondly is their board is right now filled up by representatives from each county, correct? And so shouldn't the county member that goes to that meeting represent the county? And isn't the county's job to get somebody to represent them correctly? So I guess what I'm saying is if you have a county that's primarily Navajo and the people vote in whoever they vote in, that's who should represent them. We start making special concessions for whatever it is, we're tipping the scales.
But that isn't the question. There already is minority concessions made. Am I correct?
Yeah, this would be adding one.
Yeah, and add another one.
It would be dividing one to add another one. Then you'd have a Hispanic and a Native American, then you'd have 2 instead of 1 back and forth. Because there's already an African American.
Your possibilities here, you don't have to vote on this. I know there's only 3 of you here tonight. That might be something we want to wait for, or you can vote yes or no. If it's the only way I respond is if it's a yes. But I'll do whatever the board would like to do. It's a hard decision when what you're doing is spreading out your voting power, like Andrew said, thinner. So your representation is going up, which means your vote means a little bit less every time that happens, right?
And that's not so much. It is the local people's duty to find somebody that represents them. And so it is our duty to vote somebody in so that in turn they get somebody over that represents our community. When somebody else can go pick somebody that represents it, we swore to uphold the Constitution, and I don't think that's constitutional.
How's
that?
I do have a question about that as soon as I got it. Is a Native American allowed to be the Navajo County?
It is.
The Apache County? Can an African American be the same thing? To me, it's absolutely unfair. And I said that as soon as I saw it, as soon as I saw the desk that it showed and the whole thing, I thought, bull crap.
And I wouldn't say it's unfair, I just don't think it's proper representation of who has been voted in. That's my biggest hang up on it. I mean, if they vote in all one race or another, that's the citizens' duties, not some,
Caucus.
bureaucracy stuff.
Your decision.
Stupid, huh?
It had a lot of support this year. They tried it 3 years ago and passed it out. I don't know about this time.
Well, if there's a time to do it, right now is
I say
about as good as any.
we send a vote in and says no. If they have a question, I tell them. I'll make a motion, we say no.
I'll second it.
Let's see, we gotta make another thingy.
Tell me when you're ready.
Okay,
Call for the vote. Myself, no. Andrew?
No.
Rhonda?
gotta agree, no. For the same that you gave. I've been to the county. Me and Karsten have been there. We've seen it in action. We were the minority.
You are, by far. I can tell you who's on there.
Every time I've gone to any of those, I just felt like,
We do need to approve the thing for 7C, correct? I need to motion that.
Yes.
Yeah, I motion that we approve the changes to policies GC. Do I need to read all those?
No, just say.
Okay,
As
approve
presented.
the changes in policies as presented.
I'll second it.
If I could, Andrew and some governing board members had concern last time, about this. So if I could recap, I did look this over and met with Eldon about it. And he was kinda, I don't know how he felt, but he let us put it on the agenda. So most of the policy, if Steve will scroll up, these are all basically COVID-related procedural policies. Find one with the red mark here, Steve, and stop. Right there.
Oh,
Okay, so like for example, this was voted as unconstitutional. How it was added, not necessarily the action itself of not require a school may not require a student or teacher to receive a vaccine, for example. So that part, but the way it was added was voted or ruled as unconstitutional. So we are
removing it?
yeah, that's the recommendation from the ASBA, which makes sense for a few reasons. It could come back a different way at some point, but probably not. This shouldn't be a big concern because we aren't going to do that anyway.
Well, if I understand that we as the school board already said that they don't have to wear masks or be vaccinated.
We backed this up,
Yeah.
and then they backtracked on us. That's how I look at it. Because that's what we went with, is we voted this in not too long ago, saying, yep, we agree with this, let's go ahead and go for it. And now they're backing it up. I'll be flat out straight up with you. I think we need a policy no matter what we say. Because if the founding fathers wouldn't have said we need a second amendment, imagine what we'd have right now. We don't know who to follow us up. And so the face covering, I think we need to say, Joseph City School says, we ain't mandating you do a daggone thing when it comes to that. The next part talks about CRT in a sense, even though that's not what everybody's classifying it as. But when you look at everything, it's reversing everything that we thought was good.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, The only thing that would need to be adjusted would be the reference to statute. So that statute that wouldn't hold up in a court of law. We could still leave the statement in if the board would like.
But aren't we voting on removing these?
Yeah.
Okay, what is your objection to removing them?
Leave them in there. Why would we remove them? Because then we have no policy saying that we won't make a kid that, it removes our policy that says we can't make a kid wear a mask. Then it removes a policy that says they can teach CRT or a version thereof.
Yes, we can, as a board. This is just the recommendations of the Arizona School Board.
And I'm saying, thanks for your recommendation. I don't agree with it, so let's leave it the way it is.
If we could, to simplify it, pull out the one that you had looked at last.
Well, all of them, I'm not, because it's everything that we really need to be careful about as far as mandating a vaccine is crossed in there, making you wear a face mask, CRT, sex stuff. That is the core of the problem in America and all school boards right now, and we're saying, let's lighten up on it, seeing how the government says, we'll go with it. Now, that may not be how you guys interpret it, but that's what I'm saying is we are lessening our stance unless we're going to have something that replaces it instantly.
Yeah.
Not, we'll get to it next month. If I say we're going to replace it, I want it replaced before we remove.
Gotcha. If you let me explain the reason I want to pull it out, though, and it's just because I think it may be in the best interest of the district. So when you look at these things, if we were to break them out, so you have like the one about masks, one about vaccination, and then the one that he's currently on with, it's not necessarily called CRT, but you can't teach that somebody is born inferior or inherently superior to somebody else, which is, no one's going to argue that. That's Andrew's 100% right. But however, so they're recommending that we remove that. And so if we think about what could happen if we leave that in, okay, so we already know we wouldn't teach that. We're not supposed to teach that. We wouldn't support anything like that. There's actually a statute that I've attached to your packet here that says the same thing, but it's a different reference. It's the old law. My concern is if we leave that in, it could open us up for some issues, such as, let's say we hypothetically had a rogue teacher that went and said something that they shouldn't have in a classroom, and a student goes and hires an attorney, and they see this policy and they say, you have it in your policy that you're not supposed to do this. Mr. Miller, when did you train this staff member about this? Are you evaluating your staff members that they're not supposed to do this? And all these extra things that we could get hammered on just because we left extra, it's like creating extra rules for ourselves is my concern, to kind of sum it up. If we take that out, I think it gives us just a little more leeway for that rare thing that could happen. It's probably never going to happen, but you never know.
So how do we do both?
What I would say, this one you would take out. I would recommend you take out. That's my recommendation. Like they say, if you scroll up a little bit, Steve, or down, whatever. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Right at okay. See where it says ARS 41-1494. That Eldon asked me to do this. Thankfully, he caught this. It says the same thing. So there's a reference in there, but instead of spelling it out under all those red lines, it just gives that reference. So that 41-1494 is part of your packet, and it says essentially the same thing, almost the same terminology. It's in your packet. But instead of explicitly putting it here, where I think we could get hammered if somebody does something like, they say in an inappropriate racial comment in a class, in a discussion, and then they comment, this way, when was your training? Or your policy? We're supposed to be enforcing our policy.
Okay, so we say we agree with what we're being requested to remove these things. I see a problem moving forward that we accepted it to begin with. And moving forward, what are we, I mean, I don't recall that we've ever not gone along with their recommendations.
The rule of law, I mean, so it was law. That's why we approved it. That's a good point. There was one with smoking that we didn't approve, where they said it was okay, or it was a lesser offense if somebody who wasn't a student could smoke on it. And we didn't approve it. It was a couple years ago, Elda caught it. But most of the time we do go with their recommendations because they have a team of attorneys that back this up and they vet.
And that's part of why we belong to it.
So back to the question, how you were answering, how do we do both?
I recommend we take them out. I don't think it ties our hands at all. Not that I don't agree with the things that they say. I do. It's just the legal reference that they back it up with is not accurate because it's been ruled as unconstitutional. And this specific one I'm talking about, I think could give us problems. Probably not, but it potentially.
So could we do this like you're recommending and then make our a motion like Andrew's saying also that we will not require masks or the mandate vaccine, and we will not allow any form of critical race?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in there.
On our agenda to vote for a non-mandated mask, non-mandated shot.
Well, we've already done the non-mask. That's already something we've done.
But does this reverse it?
No.
I don't think
No. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
And
This is the thing. We accept all this by voting, but then we have our own rules that regulate us. And they all go hand in hand. I see what you're saying, but there's still a lot of other stuff that takes care of it in there. That's what they're saying. This one specifically is redundant.
Probably not the end of the world either way. I mean, I wouldn't.
Well,
I'm arguing with anybody.
here, quite openly, I'm going to vote yes. Let's get it out of there. You're going to vote no, so let's leave it till we have more people here, because we can't do anything right now anyway.
can we put this on the next board meeting?
Table it, yeah.
And can we also at that time do, like Andrew was suggesting, make something that we specifically spell out the vaccine and the mask will not be required, and teachers or staff that are with this, and fix them both at the same time?
Yeah,
You know,
we could, but there's a risk in that, if I could just say real quick. Not that I don't agree with it on a philosophical level, but I think if we put that in our policy, and I'm not an attorney, as you know, that could be challenged. That could be like us putting, you know, other things. You just imagine other things that we could be attacking now that we don't need to. But if we put that in there, they're going to say, oh, and then we get a situation where we are asked to wear masks or something like that, or they're going to withhold funding, and then we have a policy in place and got to take 2 months or 60 days to get it out.
wording can hurt you as much as help you. And as an employer, say you call me in and give me a reprimand, and you say, in the future, I may terminate you for this. You say may, not I will. I may. That gives you 50-50, whatever you decide. You can keep me, you can fire me, and that's his concern, is what I'm getting, is he's concerned, you're saying I will fire you. Am I right?
We will not mandate masks. We will not mandate a shot. We will not participate in any shaming because of race. We will not participate in this sex BS crap that's going on. I mean, it's not saying we will or won't. We're just saying it's not on our, we're just not going to do it. We don't need to have a class at one way or the other that has anything to do with shaming because you're whatever.
And it's not saying
But
you
I
go
don't
be
think
fired or
we
not
have
fired.
to come out and write everything that we believe. And that's where you're getting,
But if,
that's where you're getting.
yeah, and I appreciate the forefathers of this country putting it down on the Second Amendment. That they had to write down after they blew.
Okay, and I get what you're saying, but we ain't reinventing the wheel. And that's what you're trying to do.
The founding fathers did it in 10 amendments, and if you know what our policy manual is like this already.
Well, the more crap that happens, the thicker it has to be. The more corrupt the country is, the more.
Okay, but what happened to your faith in this community, voting people in like the three of us and the two who are missing that are gonna make the best decision for the community?
My faith is right here with me sitting here, because I believe that there's 1/5 that'll agree with me. And so you're saying, why don't I believe it'll happen in the future? I'm saying it's happening right now, and I believe that I'm supporting some of my constituents, or if nothing else, it's what I think is right, whether the rest of the world agrees with me or not. And we don't have to look very far to see the issues. And I don't know if the teachers agree or not. I'll tell you flat out, the reason I don't have 12 guys anymore is because I can't handle this BS, because we need less control, and it on a local level, not out of somebody in Phoenix. And so I think the board in Joseph City can say, yeah, we're not going to mandate masks because you can't walk through this dang town and find 2 or 3 people wearing a mask at any given time unless they're traveling through and they stop somewhere. Anywhere. So we start telling these teachers.
But let me remind you of something, and I think this might really hit you where you're going off in right field.
At least it's right, not left. Sorry.
Okay. You want the right to get a vaccine or not, but you don't want to be told.
That's right.
To a certain extent, you're wanting to write this down or keep this stuff, and we're telling the people of this community it has to be this way.
No, I'm saying you can do what you want. If anybody in here wants to get a vaccine, you can get it. If you don't want to get it, that is your personal decision between you, your doctor, your family, and your God, not the school board. So do whatever you want. We're not going to tell you yay or nay.
So there is one, I'm just trying to think of how this would affect us going forward. Not trying to argue. Like with the measles, that's one thing. Isn't that what the measles? Yeah. So it's highly contagious. And when you have an outbreak in your community, and there was one in a small Arizona town a couple years ago, the school can, if you don't have a vaccine, you don't let those kids in.
Or staff.
Or staff. Could we
All
have
right, bring that up to vote, and I'll have the same opinion. Sad to say.
that you would let them come still? Because it could
It's between them, their doctor, their family, and their God.
But that could affect everybody if they get the spread that, because it's highly contagious.
You're saying if they have it and come in?
Yeah.
If they don't have.
Not,
If
well,
somebody
it's
has a
not the
vaccine,
fact that they don't have the vaccine, it's that they've got the contagious disease. Well, now I gotta change sides. This is how I see it. Who's making these decisions that this is right or wrong? All of it. And I think that's why I'm against you, because you're making the decision that your thoughts are the right thoughts.
But he's not making the decision.
I'm saying the decision is
He's saying the family gets to make the decision. If they
But
want
he's
to teach
deciding we need to keep all this in writing.
that we're not going to mandate it and that we're not going to teach it.
But it doesn't
You can
need,
teach it at home. If you want it, you can teach it at home.
Yeah,
If you want your kids to learn about the sex, whatever. You want your kids to learn about whose race is whatever. You can teach it at home, but we're not going to teach it at the school.
And sometimes and I've seen in the news, if there's like a district or state who's not doing the mask thing or whatever, sometimes they're going after funding for this. I've seen that. I don't know if it'll ever come to that, but just be aware of that before you vote here.
But I think we're going to.
well, that being said, if in that event it happens, then the board can turn around and vote against me then. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna bend. I've talked to, and I'm trying to limit government overreach by saying, it's your duty. You figure out what works for you. We're not gonna tell you yay or nay as far as the board's concerned. What you put into your body is your decision, not ours.
So we are gonna,
Yeah.
We have a motion
let's
on the
table
table.
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
all I
said
did was open it.
we wanted to leave it to the next meeting.
Well, I haven't changed the motion yet. And I don't think I need to. All I did was open it for discussion. So we are done discussing, and that's the end, right?
Yeah, I'll bring it back next. Julie, will you make a note of that?
A motion that we accept the Joseph City Schools 2019-2020 audit financial statement.
I'll second it.
Y'all acting a little scared.
Yeah, so this was given to you guys last month, if you had a chance to look it over. So, they have some findings in here that they asked us to correct. They had a few more rules this year than, starting with this year, than they had in the past, which is fine. And they help us find those and ask us to correct them. But we can go through those, or if you want to start with questions, we can do that.
Let's go through those, please.
Do you have that?
Being nobody's saying nothing.
Yeah.
So like the summary of findings might be a good place to, start.
Did we get dinged? Is that the summary of findings? We got some.
You
I
give
would
it,
fix
if you give me an audit that doesn't show a ding, I'll show you a worthless audit.
That's right.
So, audit.
Well,
Yeah, how much does that take to grease the audit?
So, maybe, see, was that page 60?
Well, the one that says, Uniform System of Financial Records Compliance Questionnaire is what we're looking, and and it's on page, Appendix A, page 1 of 3.
Okay. All right. So we can walk through this if you'd like, or if you have questions, like I said.
Do you want me to go to every single one, or do you just want to?
I'll tackle it.
Okay. Okay.
So they kind of break it down by department: accounting, records, cash and revenue, property control, expenditures, credit cards, things of that nature. So, and we'll go into detail on any of the items if they have questions. But,
Okay.
basically, the first one, you're gonna see maybe a couple of instances where the coding was wrong. So it was coded like a 6810 instead of a 6340 or whatever. So they review so many random things and they look for that. This was only what they say. They usually tell you how many they find. 1 of 10. 1 of 10. Reconciliation needs to be exact with the amount of cash that was collected.
So 10% on that subject wasn't exact.
Right. 1 out of 10. So that's something we're really trying to make progress on. We want to take care of that. We don't believe that was fraud in this case. It was just a matter of not having the backup. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What's this?
Cash revenue is the next category. So these are like deposits, and also food service bank account. So the county, in that case, well, let's see, Steve. They're only open so many times.
Well, yeah. You have to clear out certain accounts down to 0 as of June 30th, and then you can redeposit back in them on July 1. And we had a problem with the county
being shut down and we couldn't take deposits to them. So we missed the deadline on that one. That was during, when everybody was closed down for COVID, so that's why that one happened.
Yeah, so that, that's probably a minor one in my opinion. And this one with the number 4, pre-numbered receipt, so it's a matter of using the right receipt book that, that will give us the right coverage, document coverage, whatever. The next one was a coach that didn't, do what we thought they were gonna do. We're trying to get some training in place, things of that nature. Once again, we don't think any fraud or something like in this case. Capital asset listing. So we're supposed to list, I'm on number 5, how things are disposed of, and we found that 4 of 5 capital assets were not listed, or were they?
Yeah, what that was is several years ago when we did the last complete inventory of all our fixed assets, we got them inventoried and corrected our listings, but it didn't get put, and we didn't realize this, the person that was doing it didn't get it into the accounting system properly, and so they were still showing up. And so they picked all those from that year and found that they weren't removed. Things that were disposed of, they weren't removed.
That's one we've already corrected.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, right? That told me that, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, number 6, expenditures, just for inflation, just a CTE calculation, item. So, I don't know if there's a question on that, but it's pretty straightforward. Credit cards purchasing, I mentioned this last time, so there was some fees, but that's a decrease from the previous.
It's almost half of what it was last year.
Yeah. Procurement, so they did find 1 out of 5 vendors we didn't have, in the written quote range, that we didn't have 3 quotes on. That's one we wanna eliminate that, if possible.
So does that mean 1 out of every 5?
No.
1 out of the 5 that they grabbed out of the file.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it could have been,
So they just grabbed 5 and 1 of
And
them.
they happened to pick the one that we didn't have quotes on.
Well, and sometimes it's tricky because, we'll think they're on a purchasing co-op, or I'm pushing these guys let's get this done. These people are waiting on it. We need AC, whatever the case is, or we need this car fixed. And that kind of pressure can create this mistake. So, but we definitely want to get quotes whenever possible. So that is one we're going to work on. But 1 out of 5, I guess, is too. We knew exactly. It might be 1 out of all. We were to look at how many we had. It could have been 1 out of 10. They pulled 10.
Do we know which one?
Yeah, he did. We probably still want to talk about it right now.
I understand that, but if we look at that and it's from a person, the name, and that same name has done several, is something to really be concerned about.
Oh.
That same name did none.
Yeah.
Other than that one that was wrong, then
It's a vendor that we use a lot, and on that particular purchase, there wasn't a.
yeah. But I think there's also, once you spend so much money with one company,
Right.
then you have to keep getting stuff too. So
Right.
That one I'll be leaning, because it's a bloody nightmare for everybody to do that. It's tough. I did a bid for a neighboring district, and we waited 6 months for them to find the other 2 bids.
I can't hear you. Sorry. So you're looking that way, so I can't see or hear you.
There's a category about student attendance, and we want to make sure we get this correct, because this one can come back, and we got to work closely with our principals and our information coordinator that does attendance. Because what could happen is, what they'll do, what's an attendance audit, you know, every maybe 10 years in a district, and they'll bill you if you overcharge for your enrollment and your attendance. So guys, we want to make sure we get this down, and it looks like there was a miscalculation. It's since been corrected. I did discuss this with Steve, but we want to make sure that this we don't cause that problem and get a big bill 5 years from now or whatever. Is that right, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
And some of this is, go ahead.
I'm not, like, wanting to, put blame or anything, but how does that happen?
It could have been,
I'm trying to understand the process.
like, if a student withdraws from our school, and it doesn't get updated by the.
Gotcha, okay.
That would be the case.
But aren't we the ones that make both those reports?
Yeah. Well,
Bit more, make.
The reports of who withdraws and who's there on what day, shouldn't our reports match before they get off somebody's desk?
What happens too, though, is
Fully.
there's a data upload that happens to the state, well, not almost every day, and there's typically, I mean, it's what to do. Actually rather common for some kind of data mismatches to happen. And so we do look at those, did this match with that? And if it didn't, then we go back and we try and research and figure out what the difference is. And in this case, we figured it out, made the change, and ADE never pushed that data out to the ADM 15 report that the auditors pull, that they audit by. So,
So is it kind of a hiccup in the system?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
so we're aware of it now?
Yeah, we're aware of it.
Therefore, whoever
It is.
takes care of that will be looking for that. Is that?
Oh, yes.
still human error, I believe. I would, it's for our entry of that information, right? If I got it right.
You could have a family that don't come back after Christmas. In 10 days, we realize they've moved.
They're supposed to be off
The
our.
records request.
Or you might have a special ed kid that's classified in the wrong category, which affects the funding, and then you have to go back and.
So my question to you is there a way for us to correct it if we catch the mistake? And was that not done? Is that why we got in trouble?
It was done.
Okay, if it was done, then how did we wind up being in trouble?
Well, what happened is, and I can't.
I don't want specifics.
Yeah.
I just want to
What
know,
was going on at
has it been fixed where it won't happen again?
So you do the uploads. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I forgot.
And there you have it. That's how it could happen.
I forgot to put this on Do Not Disturb. Anyway, what happens is you upload the data, you do the match, and there's different data systems that all have to talk to each other, ADE, and if they don't, they update the one that we upload to, but if they don't update the one that produces that ADM 15 report, then it doesn't come out on the ADM 15 report. And auditors, and I explained that to them, and they said, well, see if you can get the ADE to push out, because that's what we have to audit against. And we contacted, and we called, and we sent emails, and they never did get it changed at ADE so that it pushed out.
And were you able to give that to the auditors and say, how do we fix it then?
They say, not our problem. That's your problem. No, I mean, seriously, there's nothing they can do. They have to audit to that report, and if they don't, then
Okay, so
they're liable.
who are they getting this report from?
Well, no, the ADM. Well, the ADM.
Whose record is ADM's records?
Okay, who's the ADM?
No, well,
Uploads on a daily basis.
the ADM 15 they pull from ADE.
Yeah.
That's an ADE report, not one we produce locally.
So it's all in our computer and it's all our stuff, but we don't know how to run it?
No. No, we know how to run it.
But we don't know how to fix it when we mess up.
No, what I'm telling you is we did fix it. There's multiple systems out there. There's like 3 at least systems, maybe 4 at ADE. And one of them is we upload our data, and then it's up to ADE to take the data we upload and drop it in the right spots. They didn't drop it in the right spots. to create to fix that ADM 15 report.
What's ADM stand for?
Average daily membership.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry,
Which is, how many kids are enrolled at any given time.
they didn't teach that crap when I was in school.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so
Good
this
question.
is what I don't get then. If it was ADE that didn't fix it, it was their problem, not ours.
It doesn't matter with the auditors. They have a question, and you can find the question over here. Did this report match that report? And if the answer is no, it ends up on these comments. And they're not, there's not exceptions to that.
The auditors aren't part of ADE though, correct?
No.
They're independent, so they wouldn't.
They're independent, right.
So which one was right? Were the district records or the AD?
They're going after whoever they're sitting in front of.
Record?
Oh, yeah.
Did we overcharge?
No, it didn't upload right. When we discovered it, we fixed it.
So ours.
We uploaded the correct ones to the ADE, but it didn't interface on the ADE side. It didn't interface to the right, they didn't.
So, and ADE don't care? They're where we got in trouble and they don't care?
You know what? They just did not respond to our emails. They did not respond to our phone calls, and that's all I can say. I don't know. I can't.
The real risk would be funding. So if you were to translate that difference, 626 days that we charge for.
So we overcharged for 626 days? Is that the bottom line to this?
Yeah. I'm just what I'm not sure is I'm not certain that how much that really affected the funding. I haven't dug that deep with this, so I wouldn't say categorically.
Which report was wrong,
I
the
say we
district
need
or
to
the
know more
ADM?
about this crap than what.
I agree with you.
That's the ADM 15 is wrong, but the auditors don't. They wouldn't say that in their report because they.
But in an attendance audit, that would be a question. So I'm just trying to see which one was accurate, ours or the ADM 15?
Ours.
Oh, then it wasn't probably an overcharge. If ours was.
That's why I say I'm not certain that really was an overcharge. I'm not sure, and without.
Am I not seeing it right? But 626 days is like 2 years.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Yeah, 144 is 288, and another 144. Yeah, we're talking a little more than 2 years,
Hey,
bud.
Cass was coughing.
Your whole high school career.
No, I think the way it works, correct me if I'm wrong, is this is all the days of all the kids added up throughout the whole year, so they're off by.
4 kids for the whole year.
Yeah, sure. Or 600 kids one day. Yeah.
Hard to do, we don't have that many.
Like 2 years of time, or 2 years of time.
Or actually, Julie made a good point. Or one sped kid, because one sped kid counts for 5 or 6.
They need to teach those guys quit using Common Core math.
Yeah.
Wow.
It sounds like our record was correct
Yes.
in this case, so it wouldn't be a.
So can we see a resolution in the next month or two of how this was repaired?
No, he's already told us. They repaired it, and Arizona Department of Education didn't fix their part of it for their report, which is what the auditors go by.
But so we have some kind of documentation when it comes back and they say, you owe us for 626 days, we can say, no, we don't. Here's why.
Yes, we do. You're correct.
That's a good question then, to get to the bottom of that.
Okay, let's carry on.
Just an IT thing, that's our visions is our accounting. So that's an important program, but they made a comment here that more supervisors had complete access, and they don't want that. So corrected that. So
how many do they want?
Usually one. What did they say, the auditor? 1 or 2?
They like to just have 2, and we had 3 or maybe 4.
They want us to share our password
3.
instead of
So basically, it should be the superintendent and the business manager, because you got to have 2 in case one.
Well, it's actually the business manager and the IT director.
Some other than that.
Yeah.
Sorry, was that profiling?
So when you let Eric in, you have to type in his password, your password,
I don't
and
get
let him sit there?
No, he shouldn't have access to it, is what they're saying. And if you have too many hands in the pot, then who do you blame it on?
Yeah,
Who's ultimately responsible?
true. And then, just that last, number 15 was the report that was late. If I'm remembering correctly.
Can I make a request for future fund report?
Yeah.
I would like to see in the future, in writing, the resolution and how we're gonna fix it as part of this report. If if it says, hey, we had these many kids, put a copy of those emails in there, because right now, we kind of walk out here saying 600, no matter what we say, 626 kids is a huge deal. If I could get the resolution with this, then I can almost erase it off my mind instantly. And then how are we going to prevent it in the future?
We can do that. You may not like all the stacks of reports.
Well, on your end, you should consider it a CYA. An acronym unit, cover your ass.
We do. Yeah, no, we do. We have it all. It's just, I'm just saying, if you really want to see it all, we'll give it to you, but it's going to be a lot of.
Well, I'm not talking every paper, but you should be able to do in the paragraph, explain what happened and how it's going to be fixed in the future. We never even.
We do, Andrew. We haven't given it to you.
Okay, that's what I was going to
So
say.
we spend a lot of time, my staff, they take this very seriously, and we sit down and we agonize over every single one of these things, and we talk about what we're going to do to correct them, what we're going to, to make sure we
Okay, but can you see where he's coming from? You got us all buzzed up over this.
I did.
You're telling us that we're getting in trouble over something that we didn't even do, and now we're like, okay, well, that we can't fix it because you already fixed it, but we're still getting in trouble. And that's all he's saying, is just let us know that you've taken care of it.
That's what I thought I was doing. The consequences of all of these are very limited unless they repeat.
They're minimal, but you know what happens if something gets in trouble? The board follows the superintendent to court, and then we drag the rest of you with us. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's seriously, if I were to have to stand in front of it, I'd want to be able to say, well, this is what I have, instead of this is what was discussed in a board meeting. I'm
just telling you, please be confident that we do have
The backup.
Right. We've looked at every one of these. We sit down and we reflect on it. What can we do? Do we have backup? We do that. That's part of our jobs. We do that. I'm
not saying you don't, but anytime I mess up with the IRS or anything like that, what do you think I have to have? Big time backup. And my account.
That's exactly what we've got. That is what we've got.
I'm just saying the board that's supposed to oversee all this to make sure it's happening doesn't see that.
And if you want to see it all, set aside a few hours to come in and we'll go through it all with you. Or I can do that.
The whole thing?
Simple answers. Like last year, we had.
That's what he's given you, though.
But not in writing. That's what he.
Okay, so then that's what you need to tell him.
That is not what I was saying.
No, it isn't. I'm hearing what he's hearing, that you're wanting him to send you everything they've done.
No, he said a couple of paragraphs, or if you needed it for one thing. Most of them are a couple of sentences. This is what happened. This is how we fixed it. And I think that
I
could
can
be
do
a
it.
good
I'll
thing.
take that on, and I think I can condense it down where I take some of that stuff. So let me try and see if it's adequate the next time we get this, or whatever. If you want me to.
Not that I want to kill a dead horse, but last year we talked a lot about, because I threw a fit about it, of us paying interest. We talked about procedures and all that kind of stuff, and I specifically remember, present us something that says it's going to happen. I still haven't seen a procedures. I've heard that it's cracked down, but I never saw something here.
To show us that our requests were carried through. Is that what your point is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, and we can do that. But just keep in mind, if you could come in and spend 15 minutes with Selena, 5 minutes with Selena and I, is more than answer your questions. or we can spend a couple of hours and write something up for each of you. So that's why I just ask you, come in. If you got questions, come in. Set aside a few minutes and come in. We can help you, but we'll put it in writing, but if that's not enough.
The reason you're wanting it in writing is if we ever have to go to court, we've got to have something besides our.
And we have it
right?
internally.
Is that what you're looking at?
We have it internally, we just don't have it condensed down into 1 or 2
But
sentences.
2 or 3 sentences simply saying, yes, we accrued these interest charges because we didn't get them paid off fast enough because the mail was slower than sin. I mean, okay, and here's the procedures. Next year, we were behind on 2 of them because we didn't get the mail in time, or it didn't hit the county.
And we can get that for you, but I'm just telling you, we do have that internally. It's
And I'm
not
just
like we
saying,
don't have it.
part of this report, it would be nice to have that as a rebuttal to what they said. A short written rebuttal to the auditor.
Let's try it. I think we can, to your satisfaction. I'll take that on.
Okay, do we have any more discussion? Does this have to be approved? Does the board have to approve it?
That we're accepting the report.
Not that we agree with it?
Well, if you don't agree, take that up with the audit firm.
That's, we
didn't agree with
this is a technical, it's just a technicality that we have to accept it.
All right, myself, yes. Andrew?
Yep.
Rhonda?
Yes.
Do we have any discussion items? For future agenda items? We had the one that we need to bring back, correct?
Right.
Is there any others? Okay. The same request for,
Changes to policy.
and then our next regular board meeting is December 14th. We also have the board meeting, it's not a meeting, it's after that, so we could, because we need to also do, say there's a soft post or something for when we're down.
If there's more than 2 board members at that conference.
Okay, I would assume there is, but we can do that next meeting, right?
How many are signed up for the ASBA, do you know?
Thursday.
You're working.
4,
Okay, so yeah,
Eldon Council.
we'll post it on the.
Wait a minute, I told you no.
You know, I've got Steve, Brian, Karsten,
Yes.
and,
Just school board members,
of the school board members, 2.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay, and that's the 17th, 18th, or something like that, 16th?
14th, 15th.
Okay, so it's right after.
Or 15th, 16th, let me look, I'm sorry.
Right after the next meeting. Okay, and we don't have any meetings before that for ESSER or anything else? That's already scheduled? Okay. So I motion that we adjourn the meeting, the time being 7:43.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Do we need